Two fishermen, same river, same morning, same bait on the same hook. One of them went home with 23 fish. The other went home with nothing. I was there for all of it. I watched the whole thing happen from 6 feet away, and when I finally understood what had made the difference, it stopped me cold. Whatever it is, it costs less than a dime. You almost certainly have it in your kitchen right now. And the moment I show you, you're going to wonder how you ever fished without it. But before I get there, I need to tell you something that will permanently change the way you think about every fishing trip you take from this point forward. Because this isn't a fluke. It isn't a lucky day on the water. There is a hard biological explanation behind it, the kind that leaves researchers quiet for a moment before they nod and say, yes, that tracks. And the strangest part is that fishermen on the Missouri River, deep in the Florida Everglades, in the mountain rivers of Japan, and out on the fjords of Norway have been doing this for decades. None of them knew why it worked. They just knew that it did. Stay with me through the end, because I'm going to walk you through every step. But first, let me take you back to that morning on the Mississippi. It was winter. The river was running high and brown after a heavy rain. Thick, dark water with almost no visibility below the surface. My fishing partner that day was Jake, a seasoned fisherman out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We set up our rods almost identically. Same line weight, same hook size, same piece of night crawler, same bank, barely 6 feet between us. From the outside, there was no reason our results should have looked anything different from each other. But Jake had done one small thing that I hadn't. He had taken a thin strip of smooth aluminum foil, about 1.25 inches long, and fastened it to his line just above the hook. 4 hours later, he had 23 fish. I had 2. My first instinct was to make excuses. His side of the bank was holding more fish. His bait was fresher. Something external had to explain a gap that wide. But then, Jake said something that I haven't forgotten since. He said, "Fish don't see what we see. They see what we can't." I went home and started digging, and I didn't look up until 2 in the morning. Here's what I found. The secret isn't the aluminum foil itself. The secret is what that piece of foil does underwater in a range of light that the human eye cannot detect, but that a fish's eye picks up with extraordinary precision. That range is ultraviolet light. You know the black light that makes a white shirt glow at a party? Fish exist in an environment where that frequency is present constantly, and their eyes are built differently from ours. Where the human eye has 3 types of color receptors, most freshwater fish have 4. That 4th receptor is tuned specifically to the ultraviolet spectrum. This isn't speculation. It's documented in research out of the University of Tübingen in Germany and in applied biological studies on North American freshwater fish conducted at the University of Florida. Fish perceive an entire extra dimension of color that we are completely blind to, and what reflects ultraviolet powerfully, even through dark and murky water. A smooth metallic surface. Aluminum foil. That small fold Jake placed on his line wasn't decoration, it was a signal beacon. In water where bait becomes invisible at 8 to 12 inches, the ultraviolet reflection from that foil can reach a fish from several feet away. It's the difference between standing in a pitch-black room and standing in one with a single beam of light cutting through it. The fish detects that point of light before it ever picks up the scent of the bait. It sounds almost too simple. That's because it is simple, and that's exactly why nobody in the industry ever tells you about it. This also isn't some isolated discovery. Traditional fishermen along the Missouri River have always tied strips of old tin can onto their lines. They called it river shine. They thought it was folklore, maybe superstition. It wasn't. It was sharp instinct operating long before science had language for it. In the mountain rivers of Hokkaido, fly fishermen have been weaving aluminum thread into their flies for 80 years, passing the technique down through families. The old masters couldn't explain it in technical terms, but they'd tell you that the trout sees the flash before it sees the fly. In Norway, cold water fishermen working the fjords have used polished metal blades on their jigs since the 1940s. They called it cold flash, and on murky water days, their catch rate ran 3 times higher. Down in the Florida Everglades, older guides around Lake Okeechobee still crush bits of tinfoil onto their lines when the water turns brown. Ask them why, and you'll get a grin and a simple answer. Because it's been working since my grandfather fished this water. One principle, discovered independently on 4 continents. A reflective metallic surface draws fish in low visibility conditions because it speaks directly to their visual system in the one channel that still functions when everything else goes dark. Now here's the procedure, and every step earns its place. Cut a rectangle of foil approximately 1.25 inches long by about 1 inch wide. It doesn't need to be surgical. The goal is enough reflective surface area to do its job without adding any meaningful weight to the rig. Pay close attention to the next part, because this is where most people go wrong before they've even started. Use the shiny side. Aluminum foil has a shiny face and a dull face. The shiny side is what reflects ultraviolet effectively. The dull side drops that efficiency by at least 60%. Keep the shiny side facing outward at all times. Do not crumple it. This is the single most common mistake. The instinct is to think that more scatter shine means more reflection in every direction. It doesn't. When you crumple the foil, you create micro shadows across the surface that fragment and weaken the signal. A flat, smooth surface concentrates the reflection into a directional beam. Think of the difference between a mirror and a crumpled wrapper. One projects light, the other just scatters it. Fold the rectangle lengthwise into a flat strip, then position it on your main line roughly 1.25 inches above the hook. The distance matters. When a fish tracks the UV reflection and moves in, it arrives at the flash point. And at that distance, the bait is sitting directly in its immediate field of vision. Push the foil more than about 3 inches up the line, and the fish may strike at the light and miss the bait entirely. Secure it by wrapping the line itself around the folded strip twice with firm pressure. No knot required, no adhesive, nothing extra. The tension holds it in place for hours. If it comes loose, you have a fresh one attached in under 10 seconds. Now the final detail, and this is the one that 90% of people skip entirely. Once the foil is secured, wet it with your saliva before the first cast. That sounds strange, but the reasoning is real. A thin film of moisture over the metallic surface creates a lens effect that amplifies how the UV reflection disperses once the rig enters the water. Japanese trout fishermen have a name for this step. They call it preparing the flash. It takes 3 seconds, and it makes a measurable difference, especially in very dark water. Once you're fishing, here's how to know the rig is working correctly. When you reel in after 15 minutes or so without a bite, check the foil. If the shiny face is still intact and the surface is slightly damp, you're set. If it's crumpled or has flipped to the dull side, correct it before the next cast. In moving water, replace the strip every 40 to 50 minutes. Current gradually works microfolds into the surface over time, degrading the reflection. It takes 10 seconds to put on a fresh piece. It's always worth doing. Now let me explain exactly why this works in terms that actually land. Imagine trying to find someone in a crowded, dimly lit room. Nearly impossible, until they're holding a flashlight. The moment that beam exists, it doesn't matter how chaotic the space around it is. You find it immediately. That's the underwater experience of a fish in murky water when your foil rig bait enters its range. Under clear conditions, a fish hunts through 3 channels: scent, vibration sensed through its lateral line, and vision. In dark or murky water, scent and the lateral line keep functioning, but their range is limited. The fish needs to be close before either of those signals is strong enough to act on. The ultraviolet reflection from the foil operates on a 4th channel entirely, and that channel has far greater reach because UV wavelengths penetrate murky water at depths and distances where visible light simply cannot. In practical terms, in water with roughly 12 inches of normal visibility, a UV reflection can be detected at 5 to 7 feet. With one tiny piece of foil, you multiply the effective attraction zone of your bait by 5 times. That is the difference I witnessed between Jake and me on that cold morning. It wasn't fortune. It was physics. Researchers at the USGS Great Lakes Science Center studying the visual behavior of bass and walleye under varying water turbidity conditions have confirmed that in murky environments, fish actively shift their search patterns and lean more heavily on short-spectrum visual signals, precisely the range where ultraviolet operates. The foil drops directly into that sensory window. There's also a second mechanism running alongside the first. A metallic surface moving through water produces an intermittent, flickering light as it sways with the current or the movement of the line. That pattern closely mimics the flash off the scales of a small bait fish darting in a burst of speed. For predatory fish like bass, pike, and walleye, that visual signal is a hardwired trigger. It reads as prey trying to escape, and the instinct to attack fires before the brain has time to question it. 2 mechanisms, 1 piece of foil, 10 cents. Now let me ask you something directly. Why have you never seen this taught at a bait shop? Why hasn't a single fishing influencer with a major brand deal ever shown you this on camera? Because there's no margin in kitchen foil. A fishing supply store has lures on the shelf for $15, $25, $40. UV attractors in polished packaging for $18 to $25. Imported hook illuminators at $12 each. And several of those products, when you strip away the branding, Do exactly one thing, reflect ultraviolet light. Same mechanism, same result. The difference is the logo on the package, the shelf space it occupies, and the sponsored video with someone holding it up and calling it a game changer. That's not a conspiracy, it's just how markets work. If you already know that the foil in your kitchen does the same thing, you never buy the $20 UV attractor again. No one selling those products has any reason to explain that to you. The artificial lure industry moves billions of dollars annually in this country, and a meaningful piece of that money runs on a single idea, that you need expensive technology to fish well, that the fish is selective, that without the right gear, you're already behind. It's a lie. The fish doesn't know what the product cost. It responds to the stimulus, and the stimulus is identical. For generations, bank fishermen along the Mississippi used strips cut from old tin cans. Fishermen through Appalachia made lures from the foil inside cigarette packs. Not because they couldn't afford equipment, because they had accumulated experience telling them that metallic flash works. They had the practical knowledge, they just didn't have the scientific name for it. Now you have both. A few more layers before you go out and use this. In very low clarity water, stained lakes, backwater sloughs, murky reservoirs, fold 2 pieces of foil at slightly different angles from each other. This spreads reflection across more than one direction and expands your coverage. Stop at 2 pieces. 3 or more starts to create interference and works against you. Pair the foil with a strong natural bait like nightcrawler or cut bait. The scent closes the deal that the flash opened. In fast current, the foil vibrates more, which intensifies the flickering bait fish effect. That's your best case scenario. Let it work. And if you want to push the results further, seek out heavy-duty bakery foil, the thick kind used to line pans. The greater thickness holds the surface smooth for longer and carries higher metallic purity. The UV reflection is noticeably stronger. You'll find it at any restaurant supply store for almost nothing. If you fish regularly, it's worth having on hand. A few mistakes to make sure you avoid. Don't use foil that already has crease marks in it. Pre-existing folds scatter the reflection unevenly. Always cut from a fresh, flat section. Don't place the foil more than 2 inches from the hook. Fish will track the flash and arrive to find nothing. On smaller hooks, size 8 or below, cut the foil to half the recommended size. A large reflective surface on a small hook creates a visual mismatch that can push fish away rather than pull them in. And in moving water, swap the foil every 40 to 50 minutes regardless of how it looks. Current works against you gradually and quietly. Stay ahead of it, so think about what you're carrying to the water now that you didn't have this morning. Before this video, you were walking into every fishing trip focused on the same variables everyone focuses on: bait, depth, time of day, presentation weight. All of those things matter. But you were fishing without any awareness of one of the most powerful sensory channels a fish possesses. You now know that fish see a dimension of light invisible to the human eye, that in murky, dark water they are actively scanning for UV flash before they're doing almost anything else, and that you can activate that entire channel with a piece of foil barely an inch long that's already sitting in your kitchen drawer. This isn't just going to change your next trip, it's going to change the question you ask before every single one that follows. Because you're no longer going to be asking only what bait should I use. You're going to be asking, what is this fish seeing that I'm not? And that shift is the difference between the fisherman who consistently brings fish home and the one who consistently blames the river. There is no such thing as bad luck on the water. There is only missing information. And that particular excuse no longer belongs to you. If this video opened something up for you, hit the like button right now. Not as a favor, because when you do, the algorithm reads this content as relevant and carries it out to other fishermen who are still sitting on the bank with nothing to show for it. Every like sends it a little further. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and ring the bell, because every week there's something here with this kind of weight behind it. Drop a comment below and tell me one thing. What kind of water do you fish most often? Murky river? Clear reservoir? Still lake? Your answer changes some of the finer details of what I covered today. And if enough of you are fishing the same type of water, I'll build a full dedicated video around that exact scenario. And if you know someone who's been sitting out there for hours with nothing to show for it, a friend, your dad, someone who swears the fish just aren't biting, share this with them. There is a way. It's right here.